Thank you very much for staying with us. I still have a member-elect of House of Representatives representing the Ogene Federal Constituency of Anambra State, Victor Afam Ogene. We're discussing the race to the 10th National Assembly as the battle for the principal positions hits up. All right, Honorable Victor, so it does look like the hope that zoning the leadership positions is the only way to present a united front is not working. So to put this into proper perspective, how do you think the APC should have handled this to avoid this protest by aspirants?
Well, I go back to the issues of equity. You have a serving deputy speaker who is an acclaimed workaholic, the Right Honorable Idris Wase, who everyone knows that his region, the North Central, has not held the position of speaker in almost 40 years. Now he was bypassed. You have chairman of appropriations committee, Right Honorable Aliyu Petera, who is also in his 5th term, like Wase. And then some others, the intelligent young man who is very fluent, who is very focused, Gadi from the same plateau. I should not be doing marketing for them. But if you have this array of people, and I've worked closely with current Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila, what are the indices that will make them be bypassed? And then members, they are trying to foist a member on members as a speaker. I don't know what gives room for that kind of considerations. Maybe they will need to speak up a little better and clearer on what informed that kind of choice. But like I said, and like I keep repeating, it is the business of the All Progressives Congress. In fact, the parliament will be the better for it if it has an opposition that puts the ruling party on its toes. It's not about quarrels. When bills that impact positively on the National Assembly, on the nation, comes to the floor, I am sure that we will look beyond primordial interests and work in the interests of the Nigerian Federation. Nobody is going to seek to pull down an administration of which we are all a part of. Don't forget, the legislature is also part of government, just like the judiciary and the executive. But it is not right each time it comes to the legislature. The executive will try to foist members. What are they afraid of? These are all members of your party. So if you talk about zoning, it's even wrong because I just mentioned the Northwest that the position has been zoned to, has produced several speakers from Salisu Buhari to Masari to Gali Naba to Aminu Tamboa. These are all Northwesterners. How come, if you are doing zoning on the basis of equity, justice, and fairness, the North Central is bypassed? And don't forget, in the current dispensation, we have a number 4 and a number 2 coming from the same political state, Lagos. And the heavens didn't fall. So you cannot be talking about Honorable Aliyu Petera being from the same state with the incoming Vice President, Shetima. Because what is good for the goose should also be good for the gander. People are watching, people are listening, people know these facts. And that is why when you come up with these things that does not gel with equity and natural justice, people will rebel against it. They are not rebelling against the individual who is president-elect today. They are rebelling against a system that seeks to undermine an important institution like the National Assembly.
All right. Now that some lawmakers have met with APC leadership and the party has promised to look into the matter, what do you think the party should do at this point?
Yeah, the party has, luckily we still have close to a month to Inauguration Day. So, like my father would say, if you go into a river and you don't have the nerves to go further, you should at least have the good sense to retrace your steps and come back on shore. The APC has made a false start, and if they are given another opportunity, courtesy the protest by those who are affected, then they should be humble enough to retrace their steps and do the right thing, which is, of course, if they want to go the route of zoning, do it on the basis of equity. If they want to throw it all open to all members, nothing precludes us from the opposition, I did say, from running. So, but if they don't get their acts together, we'll help them to fix the National Assembly, especially the House of Representatives, as we members-elect want.
So, Honorable Victor, talking about that, we know some of the lawmakers have sent out strong statements. Some of them have argued that the APC cannot impose leaders on the National Assembly. I know you said it's not your business, but how are opposition lawmakers taking this?
Well, I told you that it's working in our favor. And only 2 days ago, we did empanel a 13-man search party to look within our ranks and see those who are interested in running for the office of Speaker and Deputy Speaker. That 13-man committee is headed by the Right Honorable Nicholas Mutu, who himself is an institutional memory of the House, having been there for about 6 tenures or more. And then I am secretary of that search party. And we decided that those who formed that committee will be left out of running. We are to search amongst our ranks, and if we find people who are sufficiently interested and capable in leading the House, we'll put them forward. And on that day, numbers will definitely speak.
So let's go back to the crisis within the APC. Let me ask this. Is there any danger in throwing the contest open to all the candidates, including the opposition?
No. Nobody is precluding the opposition from running. It's an inalienable right to run for office of Speaker and Deputy Speaker. It's our right. The APC cannot take away that God-given right guaranteed by the Constitution of Nigeria. But on the other flank, if they want to allow all their members, I think it's a better way of asserting themselves as the governing party. You know, it's a better way of governing. All members want is to vote for a presiding officer who will respect the fact that he or she is representing a particular constituency. The Speaker or the Senate President are powerful positions. If the Speaker does not recognize you to speak at plenary for 1 year, you will be shut out. All your speaking might be done outside plenary. When everybody raises their hands, or at least 20 or more people, the Speaker, in his wisdom, decides who to call. And so you need a Speaker that even can relate with members on first-name basis. You heard some of those gunning for position saying that an anonymous, in quotes, member is being foisted on them. Nobody would want a speaker who would not even know you by first name or know where you're coming from and what you represent. So these are issues that are germane to members because, of course, your effectiveness on the floor of the House can be hampered by an intemperate speaker.
All right, so some analysts are also of the view that the race for the Senate presidency is easier for APC to handle than Speaker of the House of Representatives. What is the reason for this?
Well, that deduction, I give you kudos as a political reporter and analyst. You are quite correct. Because the Senate, you have 109 individuals that make up the Senate. In the House of Representatives, these are 360 odd members. It's easier to handle small numbers than large ones. And then I think that the number that the APC has in the Senate, you just need a few. and they would have breasted the tape. But in the House of Representatives, first you check the age of members. I think we have only about 40 members returning from the night assembly. Then you have 284 fresh members. And these are people, out of that 284, more than 60% of them are in their 30s and early 40s. So you see that these are firebrand young men and women who would want to, let me not say they're in a hurry to make an impact, but they're in the age bracket that they want to get things done. They're in the digital age. So they are not like the senators who have seen a lot through life and would naturally be calmer. In the House of Representatives, you need a speaker that they respect for there to be decorum, for there to be cohesion in the House, each and every day of plenary and even outside of plenary.
All right. So I was also going to say, could it be because these are younger individuals with more energy? But also, will it be right to say the House of Representatives has a rebellious streak? Because, Honorable Victor, this is not the first time the House will go against the ruling party.
Yeah, because the House abhors imposition. When you try to, it's like you have kids in the house, and they have come to a certain age of reasoning. They prefer that you discuss with them. They prefer that you reason with them. When you try to make impositions, even within individual homes, you get rebellion from your own children. How much more people who are representing equal constituencies? Because whether you represent 4 local governments, 1 local government, 2 or 3, we are all equal. On the day of swearing in, everybody is equal. The speaker and deputy speaker are basically first among equals, and that is what it is. The fact that members talk about ranking is just to get people who are experienced guide the proceedings of the House. Besides that, Section 51B allows even freshers to go for office of presiding officers. But because of the added provision of Section 60 that gives the House and the Senate the powers to regulate its conduct, that is where they derive the power to put in their rule books that it is only returning members that should stand for certain offices. So that is why you see the rebellious streak in members. If you carry them along, they have to understand why you must appoint leaders for them. The House does not enjoy a headmaster-people relationship with the executive. We are all on the same line. And if you even want to go through the Constitution, the National Assembly, the legislature, it should be a senior partner to the executive, because that's the only defining essence of democracy. Even in military regimes all over the world, they have the executive, they have judiciary. The only missing link is the legislature. And so in a democracy such as ours, which we keep saying is nascent, but we are all happy that it has transmuted and is maturing, in such a democracy, everybody would rebel against any streak of imposition. And I don't think that it would be wise for the incoming administration to toe that same line, because when you repeat certain mistakes, you get the same reaction.
All right, so with the crisis on ground, do you foresee a repeat of the Saraki situation at both chambers if APC failed to manage this well?
It could be more than that. It could be more than that. In the Saraki scenario, you had Saraki of the APC emerge as Senate President, and distinguished Senator Ike Ekweremadu of the PDP emerged as Deputy Senate President. In this scenario, if the APC does not manage his house very well. I'm sure that the aggrieved members of the APC will team up with the greater majority made up of 7 opposition political parties and even produce the speaker. And that will be an innovation. One that is also good to look forward to because it...
Please go ahead.
Yes, one that is good to look forward to because it will help stabilize our polity.
All right, so let's talk about the zones and their agitations. The Southeast, for instance, has described this decision to exclude the zone from the calculations as unfair, especially zoning of the Senate presidency to the South-South. I would like you to react to that.
Well, when impunity thrives for overnight and then goes ahead, if it thrives overnight and goes into 1 year, by the next year it becomes almost like custom. What we see happening with the Southeast is the Nigerian Federation were at different turns, try to change the Southeast on the basis of certain mundane considerations. If you talk of the APC, for instance, they ask you, what did you bring to the table? But we have seen zones that brought practically nothing to the table and are rewarded. In the current scenario, the Northwest brought only 2 states to the APC. But the North Central that brought 4 states is being clearly, deliberately, and maliciously overlooked. So, but in the Southeast, we have 2 states under the canopy of the APC. So why wouldn't you give the Senate presidency to such a zone, if only it is to give them the leeway and impetus to try to grow the party in that region? So you see that whatever concerns the Southeast is treated with levity. And it's not good for a federation, for people to always have the mindset that there is a gang up, at the top levels. In the outgoing administration, the Southeast, you could count up to, in the order of protocol, more than 10, and you won't find anybody from the Southeast in that order. That has not always been the way our federation was structured.
All right. Now that we have the likes of Gagdi, Wase, and Doguwa, who have refused to step down for Tajuddin Abbas, who has been shortlisted for the Speaker's job, how will you describe their actions?
Oh, their actions, first, every individual is entitled to be heard. They are ventilating their anger, and they are not carrying placards. They have gone to their party headquarters to speak to their national chairman and members of the working committee to take a second look. In politics, everything is fluid. Consensus building does not end in one day. If at the end of the day they are able to close ranks, so be it. But whether they close ranks or not, the person that eventually would emerge as Speaker and Deputy Speaker will be by the grace of the generality of members of the 10th Assembly. In this case, somebody, the first person to cross 181 votes mark.
So what impact do you think this brewing disagreement is having on the polity?
Well, I keep saying that dissent is a leaven in the development process. When you have a group of elected officials agree on virtually everything, then we won't make progress. We know that in the Senate Speaker is infamously known to have said that whatever the executive brings to the Senate will be passed willy-nilly, even though later they tried to amend that assertion by saying whatever good. How do you determine what is good when you have said that whatever comes to the floor? And that's what we have seen. I don't think that there is any executive bill or request that has come to the floor of the Senate that was turned down. It's not good for a democracy. Democracy entails checks and balances, separation of powers. We must ensure the entrenchment of democracy by ensuring that checks and balances
All right.
are
So,
upheld.
Honorable Victor, quickly before we go, now that the APC leadership understands there is crisis, what do you think the president-elect should do at this stage to douse the tension?
Well, I think that an individual tried to sell to the Senate, to the president-elect, his own agenda and try to turn it into a national agenda. Even the task force team you talked about, we've had that nomenclature 4 years ago when somebody ran on joint tax nation building. So when we had joint tax, we knew where they were drawing their strengths from. It's allowed, this is politics, you can form any group that you want. But specifically to your question, I think that the president-elect doesn't need this kind of crisis going into government. So it's still early in the day to retrace his steps, get party members to look at the issues again, get everybody who is interested to run for office to sit around the table. And I'm sure at the end of the day, they will come with something amenable, one that will resonate positively with all members elect from across political parties, geopolitical zones. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Victor. I've been speaking with a member-elect of the House of Representatives representing the Ogene Federal Constituency of Anambra State, Victor Ogene, tonight to discuss the race to the 10th National Assembly as the battle for the principal position heats up. Thank you very much for your perspective tonight. Thank you very much. It is indeed a pleasure. Thank you.